The demand for transparency in COVID drug effectiveness has never been more urgent, and President Donald Trump is leading the charge. He has called on pharmaceutical companies to publicly disclose the success rates of their COVID treatments, aiming to resolve what he describes as a confusing mess surrounding these products. But here's where it gets controversial. Some data is already available, yet the full picture remains unclear to many. In a post on his social media platform Truth Social this past Monday, Trump claimed to have seen extraordinary results from Pfizer and other companies, information that, according to him, has not been shared with the public. He expressed puzzlement over why such promising data has been withheld, especially amid ongoing debates about the effectiveness of COVID drugs. They show me great numbers and results, but they don't seem to be showing them to many others. Trump wrote, "I want them to show them now to CDC and the public and clear up this mess, one way or the other." However, Trump did not clarify which specific data he wants released, nor did he specify whether he was referring to vaccines, antiviral medications like Paxlovid, or other treatments. This lack of detail leaves room for interpretation and fuels further discussion. Pfizer, the only company Trump mentioned by name, did not immediately respond to requests for comment. Yet, Pfizer recently published a presentation in May detailing the efficacy of its COVID vaccine, accessible through official channels. Moderna's similar presentation from the same month is also publicly available on the FDA's website, providing detailed insights into vaccine performance. To understand the backdrop, it's important to remember that in May 2020, during the height of the pandemic, Trump launched Operation Warp Speed, a public-private partnership designed to accelerate the development and distribution of COVID vaccines. Trump has consistently defended this initiative as a major success, despite widespread skepticism and anti-vaccine sentiment that has persisted. In his Truth Social post, Trump referenced Operation Warp Speed, expressing hope that it was as brilliant as some have praised it to be. Senator Bill Cassidy, a Republican from Louisiana, echoed Trump's call for radical transparency in a post on X, formerly Twitter, the same day. Cassidy described Operation Warp Speed as a crowning achievement of Trump's first term, and criticized those who downplay its success by selectively presenting facts. People who criticize President Trump's Operation Warp Speed typically misrepresent and carefully select their facts, Cassidy wrote. We should be honest about the success of Operation Warp Speed. It's worth noting that all COVID vaccines must receive approval from the Food and Drug Administration, FDA, which requires companies to submit comprehensive data for review. Since 2020, manufacturers have been updating vaccines to target new COVID strains, much like the annual flu shot. The FDA's Vaccines and Related Biological Products Advisory Committee recently gave unanimous approval for the latest vaccine strain to be distributed this fall. However, Health and Human Services Secretary Robert F. Kennedy Jr. announced last week that vaccine recommendations would be limited to certain groups: adults aged 65 and older, as well as children and adults with at least one medical condition that increases their risk of severe illness. Kennedy is a well-known vaccine skeptic who stirred controversy by dismissing all members of the Centers for Disease Control and Prevention's (CDC) Independent Vaccine Advisory Committee earlier this summer. This move has raised eyebrows and sparked debate about the future of vaccine policy in the U.S. Tensions escalated further last week when former CDC Director Susan Monterez was fired, triggering a wave of resignations among senior officials at the agency and protests outside the CDC headquarters in Atlanta. This unfolding drama raises important questions. Should pharmaceutical companies be compelled to release all data on COVID drug effectiveness? How much transparency is enough, and who decides? And with vaccine skepticism influencing policy at the highest levels, what does this mean for public health moving forward? We'd love to hear your thoughts. Do you agree with Trump's call for full disclosure, or do you think the current system is sufficient? How do you feel about the recent shakeups at the CDC and the role of vaccine skepticism in shaping health policy? Join the conversation and share your perspective below.